Hi everyone, I'm Harley D, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to make bass sounds like this, and this, and like this. Okay, so let's get straight into it then. So I'm just going to give that another play. So there's the three different basses we're going to be having a look over. There is a little bit of post-processing on them, just a bit of EQ, and I think there's distortion on that last one. But we'll have a look at that as we go through. So yeah, other than that, it's all made using Serum. So to start off with, we'll have a look at this first one. I'll loop that over, but we'll just have a quick look at the MIDI. So the notes are, it's just F1, because this is how the wobble's being created, essentially. And they're done over 1/16 triplet notes. So if I just loop a bar up, you can see that there. And after every three, the pitch bend goes from, essentially, it's going to go down. It's going to start from G1 and go down to F1 after every three notes. So that's how you get that sort of, that rhythm. So yeah, let's have a look at the Serum patch now. Let's just loop that up. So I'm going to turn everything else off, get all the effects off. So yeah, it's just oscillator A, essentially. We're going to be using the FFT add seconds from the digital folder wavetable. And I'm going to put LFO1 on the wavetable position. So starting the wavetable position at 201 there. And on LFO2, that's going to go on the level. And that's going to be set to, it's about 50%. It's 0 to 50%, I think. Just over halfway, just a little bit over halfway there. So what LFO2 is doing is just shaping the attack, because it's on retrigger mode. Just this little part here is just going to shape the attack of the oscillator, essentially. And on LFO1, we've got the wavetable being moved, so the wavetable position just being moved by this LFO. So the LFO's over one half there and over one half there, both on trigger mode. And yeah, that's going to create basically the sound how I want it to be heard. So most of that's just in the wavetable position being moved. So if I show you this, like, you can see that's how most of the sound's being created, just by moving the wavetable position, and obviously the notes, how they're patterned to create the wobble. And like I said, LFO2 is just shaping how this attack comes in of the sound. So if I was to move that point back, it would have a bit more attack. And LFO2 is also going to go on to oscillator B. Oscillator B is just going to be a sine wave, but I'm going to press this little pen. So what I wanted to do is just create a sub for it, basically, that's got a few more harmonics in, low mids, essentially. So I'm going to do this and just make sure that's unchecked, get rid of anything down below, and just start to create a sine wave that looks a bit more like a square. So it's like a rounded square, essentially. Just to get a bit more of the second and third harmonic in there. Or is that the third? Yeah, just like this. I think that's good. And that's obviously going to get the movement, the attack, the shape of the amplitude, the level of the oscillator with LFO2. And that's pretty much the two sounds there that get layered up together. I'll play that now. Just got a bit of FM from B now, and if I just turn it off, it's 17%. Really doesn't do a lot to the sound. It's just a little bit on there. As you can see, the octaves are brought down by -1, and the random phase is turned off because I don't want the phase to start in a different place when it re-triggers. So at that point, you got to this sort of sound here. And what I'm going to do now is turn the filter on, so I can clean up the low end from oscillator A. I'm just going to send oscillator A through to it on its own, not oscillator B. And I'm going to set the cutoff at 370 and the resonance at 27, the drive at 15, the fat at 15, and the mix full. So that's just going to create a bit more space between the sub and this, and remove the sub from this oscillator, essentially. But yeah, keeping a bit of the resonance on just to bring up the low mids. And then there's a little bit of tube distortion on it. 50% there, 50% mix, 50% drive. And then I'm going to use the compressor to bring the gain up of the signal. So I'm going to use it as a limiter. I'm going to set the ratio to limit. The attack's at 0.0, the release is at 0.1 there. And the threshold's at 0. And I've just turned the gain up by 14.8. So yeah, that's basically how I've got to this sound. The master output's at 9.5 there. I'll just show you the matrix if you want to have a look at that. So LFO1 to wavetable positions -100, 50 and 50. LFO2s to the volumes. So yeah, it's quite an easy patch to make. So most of it's obviously is done through the MIDI and the pitch bend. And the wavetable position being moved. But the post-processing looks a little something like this. So what I'm doing is getting rid of the extreme low ends, low frequencies of the signal, just to give a bit more definition to the mids and the sub, because that's one of the effects it has with this sound. And I'm just going to be boosting the sub by 2 dB with a low shelf and just carving out some frequencies around 220 hertz. Because as you can see, there's quite a lot of frequencies where the sound is just sitting above that. And obviously you can see that low mid harmonic and the sub there. So in between that, it's not really adding much to the signal. So just giving a bit of space in between, that's going to help those two things mesh together a bit nicer. Give it a bit of space. And yeah, that's basically how that sound's made. Let's have a look over the next one. So the main thing here to start off with is to have a look at the MIDI notes. It's a bit different there. It's a little bit longer. Triplet notes. As you can see, that's 1 bar. And there's only 1 pitch bend. And the key difference here is I've just moved the wavetable position. It was literally as simple as that. So it was up here, wasn't it, about 201. So the starting position now is 97. And I'm pretty certain everything else, so the cutoff's at 383 on that one. The cutoff is 370. So there's a little bit of a higher cutoff on that second version. And I think there might be a little bit more resonance then. No, there isn't actually. No, that's all the same. Yeah, and I think that's basically it. 14.8 on the gain of the compressor. So yeah, pretty basic. I haven't done too much there either. But that is just a little bit of a nice variation to get from the sound, just by changing that wavetable position. And in the final version, what I've done is I've added a let's have a quick little look. It's the exact same as as the first one we just went over, and it's got the same EQ, and so does this one here have the same EQ. But then I put thermal on it, and I'm just using the sine drive there, and I've just put it up to 9.1 and reduce the output by about minus. I think we could turn it up a little bit, so about say minus 16, 17, minus 17, and I'm just basically driving, saturating, distorting this sort of signal range, 320 hertz to 1.2K, and that's what's creating the more overtones in that sort of region. And then I'm just going to add this this sort of EQ on here just to soften up that low mid and boost over those sort of character range of frequencies in that mid range. And that's how we get that sort of overtones to that sort of signal, create a bit more distortion on it. So yeah, that's how I've made these wobble basses. And I'll play that in context with a bit more limiting on the track, and just give you an idea of how that sounds in the track.
The Abyss.
So yeah, I hope that's been informative. I'm going to leave the presets in the description and what Serum version I'm using, obviously, so you can keep up to date with that. Yeah, and if you like the video, hit like, subscribe, because I'm going to be making a lot more sound design videos and branching off and hopefully getting some different production videos up in the coming months. But yeah, lots of sound design. If you've got any ideas, any bass sounds you want me to show you from any of my tracks or anything just out there, I'll have a go at making it and show you how to make it or how I'd attempt to make it. Yeah, so keep posted.